Hi, I'm Lois Haggard from the New Mexico Department of Health. This is part 2 of the training video series for developing an IBIS-Q query module. This is a pretty simple video where I'm going to introduce the example state and county population data set and how it is represented in the IBIS-PH-view XML dimension files. We use this schematic in part 1 of this series. The XML files are located in the IBIS-view application, and the SAS datasets are on the IBIS-Q server. We're going to start by looking at the example Statepop dataset. I have a drive on my desktop computer mapped to the IBIS-Q server. This means that I can work on that server live, which is both a blessing and a risk. I need to be careful not to delete necessary files or do other stupid things that will break my IBIS query website. My IBIS-Q folder has a subfolder named SAS Data, and in there is a subfolder named Final. This is where all my SAS datasets are stored. Remember, these are production datasets. Nothing goes into this folder until it is ready for production. One of the datasets in this folder is one I use for training called Statepop 00_06. Here's a proc contents I ran in SAS for the Statepop dataset. It has almost 22,000 records, which and 4 variables: county, pop count, state, and year. Each year has 3,141 records. Each record represents a county. And you can see that the 4 variables, state, county, pop count, and year, are numeric variables. State and county are coded. They're not text variables. Everything's numeric. And then I have a pop count value for each state, county, and year. Now we're going to look at a dimension file to see how those numeric values get labeled. On my computer, in my C drive, I have a Tomcat, Apache Tomcat folder. This is my IBIS. This is where my IBIS-PH-view application runs. So I have a version of the website on my local C drive. Inside, and I've simplified this folder tree just to make it easier to fit it on a slide, so when you open up your Tomcat folder, you'll see more folders than I have here. Inside my Tomcat application is a web apps folder, and I have my 3 web apps: the IBIS admin, IBIS-view, and oh, did I mention there's a content folder that has all the content for IBIS-view. This is really a part of the IBIS-view application, but we've separated it out just to make it easier to keep the content that we manage separate from the software that our software developer maintains and develops. So inside the content folder is an XML folder. We go XML query module Statepop. So here's the Statepop query module folder, and inside Statepop is a dimension folder that contains these dimension files. Each of these is an XML file, and we're going to look at the dimension file for the states. I've called it GeoState. And notice the special custom IBIS-view tags, these text strings with the angle brackets that we talked about when we looked at HTML. Tags enclose each XML element. So the name tags enclose the GeoState value for the name element. Every XML element must be closed with an end tag. So there's the name tag, and it's closed. The name element is closed by the name end tag. If XML, if you have an XML file and each tag isn't closed with an end tag, it's called malformed XML, and the file cannot be read and interpreted by IBIS-PH view. IBIS-view can only read well-formed XML. The dimension element is the parent element of the name, title, and values elements. And name, title, and values are child elements of the dimension element. Then this dimension and the values elements are closed, but at the bottom of the file. But I had 51 rows and wanted to make it legible, so I didn't include those in this screenshot. I want you to also make note of the indented format on the file. So dimension is the parent element, it's out here on the left, then I indent for the child elements of dimension. Then within the values element I have these child value elements, and I've indented them again. The file will run without being nicely indented like this, but you need to keep your files nicely indented anyway. You'll learn about that later, but for now just take it on faith and trust me. Okay, the states have been sorted alphabetically along with District of Columbia and coded with sequential numbers. I didn't use FIPS codes, I just used sequential numbers. The counties have been coded the same way within each state. And also I want you to note this comment here in green. The value must be the same as the SAS data value. So this value here, 1, matches the value for the Alabama data in the SAS data set. This dimension file is set up to include SAS values and labels. That's what it's doing. And so these values have to match up. Okay, this is the end of developing an IBIS Query Module Part 2. And Part 3 in the series will review the backend ibisq.cfg or config file. Thank you.